I'm O.W. Root, and this is Pleasant Peninsula. Over the past 36 hours, the northern tip of the Lower Peninsula has had a pretty fierce ice storm, and we are all pretty much without power up here. All the towns are basically dark. Driving through town this morning, all the stoplights are down. Everyone's just treating it like a four-way stop. All of the shops are dark. Gas stations closed up. We've pretty much come to a standstill. And the scenes are incredible. Glass, just glass. Everything is covered in a thick layer of ice. And the sound is incredible. You might be able to hear it with a mic right now, but as the wind blows, you hear this crack, 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 this cracking. Everything is cracking. You can probably hear it right there. And it's a sound that you don't get just with normal snow. It only happens when the whole world is frozen with ice and every little move cracks 1,000, fractures 1,000 little cracks in the sticks and the twigs. And laying in bed at night, last night, was ominous. Because every once in a while, you'd hear this wind blow, and you'd hear that crack, crack, crack. And then you hear a big snap, and a branch would come crashing down. It might be far in the distance. It might be right in our backyard. We've got a couple huge branches down, rattled the house. And it was not a good night's sleep. You're just sitting there waiting and hearing that ominous cracking. No sounds, because everyone's out of power. No fans, no sound machines, no music in the distance, no nothing. Only that cracking through the night with a snap and a branch coming down. And, when we lose power, we really realize, or I realize, how reliant we are on technology. How much I rely on that internet, texting, messaging, how we get so much of our information. We rely on this one mode, the internet. And we don't really have great service at our house either. So we've pretty much been just offline. And you really realize, and especially when the whole part of the northern tip of the Lower Peninsula is out of power, you really sort of get a sense of what things were like before. Everything was just slower and smaller. And even though it is irritating when the power goes out, it is not a joy. It definitely teaches you something, or reminds you in a really personal way about what life was like before. It's a fascinating thing to think about and encounter if you can stop being annoyed for just one moment. Spring shoes. Nobody ever wears the right spring shoes. It sounds weird to be talking about spring right now because we are suffering a rain, sleet mix coming down. The fire has been put out due to the precipitation. I'm sitting next to a birch tree that feels like it's about to fall over, or at least one of the branches are about to fall over, and it is ice world. So it sounds weird to be talking about spring, but believe it or not, spring is right around the corner. And for our listeners in the southern part of the state, spring is already with you, and I'm jealous. But the problem with spring is that nobody wears the right spring shoes. And what happens when you don't wear the right spring shoes? You suffer. You suffer needlessly. There's no reason for you to suffer soggy socks, sopping wet sneakers. There's no reason for you to hurry across the grass that is covered in puddles, hoping that you somehow won't get wet, knowing that of course you will. There's no reason for you to suffer in this way. But why do people suffer in this way? Why do people wear the wrong shoes for spring? It's very obvious. It's because we're so excited to get to summer, because winter is so brutal, that we think, listen, spring's not that long. It'll just be a few weeks of being wet all the time in my shoes, and I'll just sort of deal with it. But that stinks. That's no way to live. Spring is a beautiful season, and you deserve to enjoy it with dry shoes. So what is the solution to spring shoes? There's a perfect solution to the spring problem. They are LL Bean boot rubber mocks. So most people, when they think of LL Bean not mocks, but boots, LL bean boots, duck boots, sometimes people call them. They think of the taller ones, the ones that are about 6 or 8 inches, and those are good for winter. And they're good for spring too, but they're not ideal for spring. The best ones for spring are the mocks. And they're essentially the exact same as the boots. The only difference is the top is cut off. So they don't run up your leg at all. They don't run over your ankle. All you have is essentially the bottom rubber. And these are so perfect for spring because you don't need the top. You're not trudging through snow anymore. You don't need to protect your legs. All you need to do is protect the bottom of your feet because that's all you're doing. You're just stepping on slosh and mush. And yeah, if you are walking through the forest, through deep forest, and you say, I'm going to walk through 4 inches of standing water, yeah, you might need something stronger. But even a standard winter bean boot's not going to work there. For most people, whether you're running through the parking lot, whether you're cleaning up outside, whether you're raking the leaves that you didn't rake in autumn because you were too lazy, or whether you're just going for a walk on a trail in spring, the ideal solution is the bean boot rubber mock. And so, as I said, it's good because it doesn't cover your ankle. You don't need it, but there's a couple other reasons, tactical reasons, practical reasons why this is so great. You know, if you're fastidious, and often if you're trying to dress well, you are a little fastidious. And if not fastidious, at least you care. It can be irritating when you are wearing a decent pair of pants. It's a work day. You want to look nice. And then you put on a pair of boots and it wrinkles up the bottom of your pair of pants. You know, the bottom 4 inches get all wrinkled. And then you take those boots off and you put on your nice shoes that you're going to wear to work, your leather shoes, whether they're loafers, whatever. And it's all wrinkly on the bottom of your pants. It looks bad. It doesn't have to look that bad. The solution is the bean boot rubber mocks. The rubber mocks never climb up your leg, so you never have this problem. They come up just as much as a loafer does, so you never have this wrinkled situation. Another reason why they're so great is they're so easy to slip on and slip off. Bean boots, the winter ones, are great. We love them, but they're kind of a pain to slip on and off because you don't slip them on and off. You have to lace them up. You have to tie them, and you're bending down, and you're doing the whole thing. I mean, everybody knows that getting ready to go outside in the winter is not a pleasant experience, and it can be a little frustrating, and it can take more time than we want it to take. These are not that situation. You can slip. I don't know if you can hear that, but a huge branch and a bunch of ice just fell off. Maple tree over there. And so it doesn't take a long time. You slip them on and off with a rubber boot or the rubber mocks. You take your loafers off, slip the rubber mocks on, you're out the door taking the trash out, come back in, slip them off, slip your loafers back on, slip your camp mocks on, whatever. The point is, it is a 10-second transition period. Slip on, slip off. Head out the door, head back in, super easy. They're the ideal spring shoe for all these reasons. They don't wrinkle up your pants. They're not more than you need. They're not going to make your legs too hot like a standard bean boot might when it runs all the way up or over your ankle. It's going to keep you nice and cool because you don't need to really stay warm in the spring. But it is going to give you exactly what you need. It's going to keep your feet dry. And it's going to be easy to slip on, easy to slip off. And the great thing about it is that it's kind of a seasonal shoe. You don't wear it in the winter. You wear it in the spring. You don't really wear it in the summer either. You can wear it in the fall too, but it's really the perfect spring shoe. It's moving us in that direction of summer. We're taking away some of the leather. We're bringing them down to earth. We don't need that much. All we need to do is protect ourselves from the soggy ground. That way, the bean boot, the LL bean boot rubber mock is the perfect solution to the soggy spring problem. I'm O.W. Root for Michigan Enjoyer.